Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be looking at the Sun, Venus, and Mars triple conjunction that is going to be taking place around the 6th to the 9th of January. I'm going to give you the exact degrees and the exact dates as well. But I would like to point out that this is something pretty rare. So, Sun, Venus, and Mars cluster together in the same sign roughly every 6 years and 4 months. And but there is a bigger cycle here. That would be a 32-year cycle when they tend to be meeting up in the same sign. So somewhere around 2019 August, we had a triple conjunction in Virgo where the Sun, Venus, and Mars were all within a few degrees from each other. And now we are going to be experiencing one more in January 2026, and it is going to be happening in the sign of Capricorn. So, roughly, approximately about 7 years later, we're going to experience one more. Potentially, it might be in a different sign. I haven't checked that. So, we've got this 32-year cycle, which actually belongs to the Venus Mars cycle. Imagine this as a Saros family. So they meet up every 2 years, right? We know that Mars and Venus meet approximately every 2 years, but they are going to be meeting in the same sign approximately every 32 years. And the Capricorn family is a little bit on the younger side. It's going to be approximately in 2100 something when they are going to be shifting into Aquarius, but I don't wish to talk about that. The shift pretty much started somewhere around 1994. But so this is a special month from the triple conjunction point of view. But let me share the screen so I can show you what is exactly happening. But before we get into it, firstly, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas period and you are ready for the new year and you're gonna celebrate and then you're gonna have a couple of beautiful moments. But also, this is the last 2 days when I have got the Christmas promotion running. So, if you wish to have a reading with me or you would like to study with me, the most popular webinars of the year was about the curse and then how we can look at in our chart whether we are cursed or not. So that's very interesting. But yeah, you can go on my website, AstroViktor.com, and book a reading with me, as well as you can pick courses, webinars for your own liking. Now, and also, if you would like to get a bit more idea about how weekly energy patterns are playing out for you, then you might want to consider joining my YouTube membership program, or you can do that on my website as well. And then you get approximately about 20-25 minute videos each week according to your rising sign, how to use this energy the bestest possible way. But let's get going with this um, quite rare astrological configuration. So what happens is we've got Mars. Mars goes in bound on the 4th of January on 15 degree. And it is pretty much very close to the sun already. So we're going to have a new so-called synodic cycle happening between the Mars and the sun. But it's actually going to be a triple conjunction because we've got Venus there also. So this is happening somewhere between the 4th of January to the 9th of January. So I'm just going to go back one day. This is when the Mars is going to go inbound. So it has been out of bound. I made a video about that. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, then you might want to revisit that. And you can see that the Sun is on 14 degree and Venus is on 13 degrees. So they are super close to each other. Now, when we go just 2 days forward, we can see that the Venus and the Sun are making a conjunction on 16 degree. And see, Mars is on 16 degree as well, but it's almost on 17 basically. So when we move one day forward, Venus and Mars are going to be making a conjunction. The Sun is about to be coming up to that. And then I'm just going to go a little bit further and we can see that on the 8th, 9th of January, depending on where you are, we have got the Sun making the conjunction to Mars as well. So pretty much this triple conjunction is going to be happening on 18, 19 degree of Capricorn. Now, if you look at the opposing sign, we've got Jupiter there on 20 degrees. So this triple conjunction is actually highlighting the Jupiter and Chiron square, which I have been talking about for a while. I made a video about that a few days ago also. So we've got the Sun conjunction to Venus on the January 6th, which is actually um, if Venus was retrograde, then we would call it as an inferior conjunction. And but due to the fact that Venus is direct, it's a superior conjunction, okay? And then we've got the Venus and the Mars conjunction happening. So obviously we've got the desire and the planet of attraction coming together with the planet of drive. And it's sign of Capricorn, which is really about serious commitments. Let's get down to business, business partnership, or let's work on our relationship energies. And then on the 8th, 9th of January, we've got the Sun making the conjunction to Mars as well. So this is pretty much the rebirth of Mars. It's very similar to a new moon. It is about a moment when we are seeding new will, new ambition, new vitality. Of course, it's going to be colored by the practicality of Capricorn. So, like I said, Mars goes in bound. So, when a planet is out of bound, it means that its declination exceeds the maximum declination of the Sun, which is about 23.27 at the moment. It always changes slightly. And those planets tend to behave erratically, quite wildly. There's a lot of extreme intensity behind them. So Mars returns inbound on 15 degree of Capricorn. So this Mars is going to get more regulated, more disciplined, more socially acceptable. It went on a rogue journey a little bit, and then it's going to become kind of like the disciplined soldier here. And this kind of grounding energy happens just before the new cycle starts, because we've got the conjunction on the 8th or the 9th of January. So it suggests that the new Mars cycle begins more on a stable footing rather than, the chaotic ground that we might have experienced in the last 4 weeks. We also call these as a cazimi. So it's kind of like a triple cazimi type of energy. A cazimi is when a planet is within about 70 minutes of arc of the sun. So you can see, for example, here that this Mars is meant to be in cazimi because it's 14 minutes of arc from the sun. That was a super good question coming from one of my students if Casimir really plays a significant role in a chart or not. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I'm not going to be talking about that right now because it would be a lot longer video. And there are certain Kasimis that play a very significant role in our lives, and there are some that are not playing. It's basically really depends on astronomical factors, where they are in the sky. Maybe I'm going to be making a lecture on that in the future. So basically, we've got Venus Cosime, which is a moment of purification and truth for Venusian matters in our lives, so such as love and money. And then we're going to have the Mars Cosime as well, which is very much about fusing or uniting with the solar purpose, especially in the sign of Capricorn. So therefore, this is a brilliant kind of like period of time to set intentions related to our long-term goals because Capricorn represents those. So the Capricorn energy is about structure, legacy. We want to build something that lasts. It's about our professional ambition. We want to be taking care of our reputation. Potentially, we might even want to make career moves in our lives too. But this Venus Mars cycle is not a flashy passion because it's Capricorn. It's more sustained, more pragmatic effort as well. So obviously none of these planets are retrograde at the moment. So that's the reason why we are dealing with superior conjunction. And let's start with the superior conjunction of Venus because that's going to be the very first one. When Venus is making a superior conjunction to the Sun, it means that it's on the far side of the Sun from from Earth perspective. So it acts a little bit like a full moon phase. Okay, so it means that Venus is fully illuminated. So this is not about internal review or re-evaluating feelings, which is often a very retrograde type of energy or an inferior conjunction vibe. This is more about revelation and culmination of relationships and financial matters. Things are brought into light. It sounds like it's a conjunction, right? But it acts like a full moon type of energy. So we can call this as a little bit of an executive Venus. We are deals are signed, status is solidified, values are made public. So it could be a decision-making point, for example, whether I want to carry on this relationship or not. It's highlighting for us whether it is working or not working. And if it works, I'm gonna commit to it. Let's get the deal signed. And then, of course, we've got the Mars being there as well, which is, like I said, it's a new Mars cycle. It approximately sees every 2 years. So this would indicate that we have to be taking disciplined actions. It's a very mission-focused Mars. It's a very mission-focused kind of like partnership that we can be coming up with. It's kind of like collaborations with others, and then we're going to do that in a very disciplined way. Now, the fact that all planets are direct during the triple conjunction in Capricorn, it's really about external achievements. You know, no hesitations here. We're going to have to commit and we're going to have to execute the plan. So, because Mars is getting stabilized here, the king is telling Mars that, listen, you went rogue the last 4 weeks, especially the last 18 days, because the sun started its journey approximately about 18 days ago in the sign of Capricorn. And you were completely out of control. Now the sun walks up to Mars and tells him that you have to stop that wild card type of energy, and we're going to have to strategize things. And then we've got Venus joining the club on January 6th as well, which is very much about what do I desire? What my goals are. And these need to be seen by others. These need to be validated by others as well. And then we've got the January 7th when Venus and Mars are meeting up. Let's call it as a fusion type of energy. The desire meets action. So this is about getting what we want in the material world. And the last conjunction is going to be the Sun and Mars conjunction, which is, we can call it kind of like as the official launch of the work required to get what we want. So it looks like January, it's pretty much of a high stake progress. It is excellent for launching a business, solidifying a marriage, a partnership, or even making a public declaration as well. There is a hidden element to it because we call it as, it's combustion and Kazemi type of phases here. So obviously it starts with the combustion, which is something hidden, and the Kazemi is when something gets spotlighted. So what happens here is that we are seeding. The seed is being planted, in the heart of the king, but most likely the motion is pretty fast or forward looking. Um, so that's one hand, something super interesting here. The other thing that I can see that Mercury is there too. I mean, it is not close enough, but it is there. But on the very same day, we can see that Mercury is making a sextile, an exact sextile to North Node. So Mercury is out of bound though. So this is still carrying that wild card type of layer to this intense Capricorn part of our chart. I would say that, with Mercury in Capricorn, which is meant to be very disciplined, it's kind of like a cautious planner type of energy, or it's the voice of the authority figures in our head as well. But this is out of bounds. So it's kind of like a rogue executive type of energy. This is removing that solar restraint because Mercury is not following the rules, it's rewriting the rules. Our way of thinking is highly ambitious, possibly controversial as well. It's off the chart type of energy. So any planets being out of bound in the sign of Capricorn can manifest as an extreme focus on our goals. And with Mercury being out of bound, it's a super high intelligence there who is willing to go to length that others wouldn't, to secure a position or result or achievements. Now, it's a beautiful sextile to the North Node, of course. And with Capricorn, it's the sign of architecture. So it's kind of like architecting your dream. And of course, North Node is in Pisces. Pisces represents dreams as well. So the North Node in Pisces is about moving towards intuition, spiritual surrender, our dreams pretty much. And Mercury is trying to provide the structure to make our dream come true. So it feels like that this Mercury and North Node sextile acts like a bridge. It gives us the opportunity to verbalize or strategize something that we have been dreaming about or we have wanted to initiate. So it's kind of like writing a business plan, basically, for our vision. Writing Mercury, Capricorn, business plan, and the North Node in the sign of Pisces is about a vision, basically. So I would say while the kings and the queens, the kings are Sun and Mars conjunction, and the queen could be Venus here, are pretty much coming into a high profile alignment. Mercury is effectively running kind of like an operation there that is serving its greater destiny. So, or this is a day when the king and the sun, or sorry, the king and the queen are having a very important conversation, or they are sharing a very important piece of information, which might be coming from a surprising source, or it's an unconventional idea that we have to be sharing to each other. But I would say that this is not a period of time when we need to discard any type of crazy ideas because these could be something highly kind of like a genius type of energy. But like I said, we have got an opposition to Jupiter in Cancer. Venus in Capricorn is about, creating defined boundaries in our love life or when it comes to money. It's about professional commitments and being real about it. I want Venus here wants a relationship that is solid. Now, we've got Jupiter in Cancer, and Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So it represents boundless emotional generosity. It is about nostalgia. I want my family to be protected. I want to be loyal to my tribe, basically. But this is an opposition, which is a tug of war between our professional duty and our family history. So, I mean, imagine with the triple conjunction, you would like to launch a new business strategy, but you kind of feel guilty about how it will affect your kind of like old alliances or how it's going to affect your family life. It could be a conflict, for example, between saving or investing for a new status or spending money on home and comfort. Since Venus is conjoined with the Sun and Mars, the Capricorn team is super strong here. And Jupiter can feel like it's an outsider. I mean, of course, it's challenging the Capricorn stellium from the sign of Cancer. So the Capricorn plans seem to be super strong, but it is a little bit threatened by emotional overwhelm or overpromising, typically based on past feelings. So this new start that is happening between the 4th and the 9th of January actually requires us to say a bit of a no to something that is super tempting or comfortable or even nostalgic. In traditional astrology, an opposition between benefics doesn't usually indicate disaster, but it often indicates expense. So, let's say if it's an ambition, it would indicate that the new ambition comes with a price tag. So to unlock the energy of that Sun-Mars conjunction, you may have to pay off that Jupiter opposition, perhaps spending money to solve a family issue or an issue with a property or emotionally paying a debt to the past before you can move forward. Sun and Mars together is kind of like a full speed ahead. Let's attack a goal, basically. While Venus and Jupiter at the same time says, wait, looking at this feels heavy, expensive, way too emotional as well. So we shouldn't be, I don't think we should be looking at the Jupiter retrograde as a block though, because Jupiter's role is about to support, but something has to be reassessed internally. So this new Mars cycle will succeed if it's built on a foundation of emotional security rather than just coming up with the cold ambitions element. And, ignoring the emotional cost of something, a financial deal, which is a Venus, you know, might become unmanageable. So the Sun and Mars, what's also very interesting about it is that Mars is exalted as well, just like Jupiter. So Mars in Capricorn says, oh, we must execute the plan, cut the fat. We have to achieve a status. We have to achieve a goal at all costs. And Jupiter in Cancer says, oh, we must protect our family. We must honor our history. We must ensure that everyone is emotionally safe. So, therefore, Mars is about victory. So it suggests that the victory that is enormous, but perhaps overwhelming, or a business success that requires a massive payout or resource allocation to the home and the private life. So imagine that this opposition is going to play out for about 2 years, right? Because this is a new synodic cycle. Like I said, Sun and Mars conjunction happens every 2 years. And the fact that we have got that very tight opposition to Jupiter, it's kind of like a birth of an idea which is being opposed by Jupiter. So this could even indicate that, we are expecting big payout of something that we are initiating, but this might get blocked out a little bit. So it's not going to be bringing as much as we would like to. But I would say though that any project you start will grow and it might grow bigger than anticipated, but it might become very difficult to manage. And that Capricornian energy might have to do a lot of overtime, to kind of contain that Jupiterian explosion. Mars and Jupiter opposition is a classic signature of, biting off more than you can chew. Because Mars is exalted, you might actually be able to chew it, but it will require like superhuman efforts, basically. And Jupiter is kind of like in a full moon phase, right? Because it's opposing the sun as well. So it means that Jupiter is at its brightest and closest to Earth. So it can really blow things out of the ballpark, basically. So this is somehow telling us not to be too small, especially with two exalted planets involved. It can indicate that the stakes are pretty high. This is a tension at the end of the day. So the drive to work will be directly opposed by the stuff that is happening in our home environment. Or, it's kind of like you have to be able to spend to be able to earn. So this is actually good for investment matters also. And I've spoken about that, with Vesta being in the sign of Capricorn as well, which actually one of the asteroids that is connected to investments. Because Capricorn is all about legacy and the great work type of energy, and having Venus there, which is the love, and then we've got Mars, which is drive, and Sun in the sign of Capricorn is about concrete reality. The Sun spotlights anything. So, on one hand, this is kind of like a power couple dynamic. It's about mixing love with ambition. It moves relationships away from purely emotional or romantic bonding towards certain type of strategic alliances. So imagine that you are a couple and then you decide to stop just dating and let's start a business together. Let's buy a significant asset or formally committing to something like, for example, a marriage. The vibe of that triple conjunction is let's build an empire. The shadow side of this could be that if the relationship that are fun, maybe, but lack emotional foundation or kind of the utility, then Capricorn demands a return on investment, even in our love life. So the relationship can feel like it is a out of balance type of energy. Or if you're an entrepreneur, this could really talk to us about launching something that you hope it's going to like endure. And I think Mars provides the hustle, Venus provides the aesthetic and the value, and the Sun provides the visibility, basically. So you can be launching something high-end, a luxurious product, or a comprehensive project that is kind of like feels like it's a life work of mine, basically. But Capricorn is about like a test run. So we have to be running that first, like testing it out before we actually launch it. Because with Jupiter opposition, we could become super enthusiastic about it, and then it might be lacking certain type of foundations. Or, if it's something to do with, physical efforts, that maybe you are going to be committing to this very effective training regime. Like I'm going to do, I don't know, 5 weightlifting a week and so forth. But the goal isn't just health here, it's about sculpting something. That's the Capricornian energy. And obviously, Capricorn represents discipline, and with the Sun, Mars, Venus type of energy, it's very much about I want to look sexy, Venus and Mars. So this could be one feeling of that. So I think I have mentioned everything that is pretty much, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here because this triple conjunction, like I said, happens every 32 years, and there is a bigger cycle of Venus and Mars, which connects the 32 years, but there is sub periods within the 32-year cycle, which is about 6.4 years. So there is a lot to break down here. And one other important thing that I wanted to mention is that not every single conjunction is equal. So not every single conjunction that appears in your chart as a conjunction acts like a conjunction. But surely I'm going to be making a webinar on that because this is a super interesting topic in my opinion. But please notice that every single Capricornian planet are going to be opposing Jupiter, and every single of them are going to be squaring Chiron. And this is one of the reasons why I made that video about the Jupiter and Chiron square, which have been going on since about July 2025. It looks like that it's something that we cannot postpone anymore. Capricorn energy is often about a reception, and we are expecting to get this massive type of like reception from the public. But Jupiter is retrograde. It can even indicate that unfortunately the success that might be just coming, a little bit later on. So important to remember that too. And of course, the Cancer Capricorn axis is so much to do with parenting as well. So you might be thinking about what's going to happen to my parents, or do I want to become a parent, or how to raise kids, and so on. Now, when to pay attention to this? If you have got any planets on 18 to 20 degree of the cardinal signs, so meaning Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, or Libra. Do you have any personal planets there? Do let me know. Or do you have any planets by progression or solar arc? So you can even do that too. So, for example, I'm just going to pull up my chart and then we can check together if I've got any planets on those 18 to 20 degree of the cardinal signs. So in my natal chart, I don't have, I do have got Mercury on 21 degree of Capricorn. So this might be affecting me, or you can go on your progress charts. You can even go on your tertiary one. You can look at your solar return chart and then look for especially that 18 to 21 degree window. So 18 degree, I've got a progressed Mars there. So this is super important for me. Okay. I've got Pallas Athene on 17 degree of Capricorn. So that might be also getting triggered there. Nothing in the sign of Libra and nothing in the sign of Cancer. So I've got two planets involved. So this is definitely going to be, this triple conjunction is going to be impacting me personally. So I hope that helps you to kind of think about your own chart as well. Well, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you on my membership program. And I also hope that you're going to have a very fantastic New Year Eve. And if you need some personal guidance, call my website, AstroViktor.com, and then let's link up for a reading. Have a lovely New Year, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.